Welcome to the Happy Workaholic Podcast. I'm your host, Kellyanne Gorman. Over the past 20 years, I've worked in beauty, luxury, corporate, and service-driven industries. I created the opportunity in these careers and in my own businesses that allowed me to travel the world, experience once-in-a-lifetime events, and build brands while providing my expertise to clients all around the globe. Life is short, and when you're given a second chance, you better believe I'm going to take it, celebrate it, and share it with you. This show is intended to elevate your mind, upgrade your business, enhance your life, and become part of a positive and uplifting community. If you're ready to take your business and life to that next level you deserve to be at, this is the show for you. Inspiration, motivation, and determination are what got me to where I am today. Tune in every week to hear from myself, other entrepreneurs, professional patients, small business owners, and fellow podcasters who will be featured on the show. I'm here to remind you to work hard, share your story, follow your dreams, and never, ever give up. Thanks for taking the time to subscribe to the Happy Workaholic Podcast. Today's episode starts now. Hello, and welcome back to a brand new show. You are listening to episode number 255, and it's going to be all about post-traumatic stress disorder. This was not the plan for today, and as you can tell by my voice, it's shot, and I apologize for that, but yesterday I experienced some crazy shit, so I'm here to share it all with you today. So, first of all, yesterday, I recorded an episode and I said that the next episode was going to be kind of like a follow-up on my medical malpractice case and like why I'm doing that all over again. But then shit just hit the fan. So I feel like it's more important, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but what happens when I talk about this or deal with anything legal, like the cases or the doctor, just literally anything having to do with my misdiagnosis. I have crazy PTSD, and I'm like already gonna cry. What I experienced yesterday, I feel like not a lot of people are aware of, and I felt like it was better for me to record an educational show for you today, all about PTSD. And there's 3 reasons why you're going to want to listen to this show. So if you're not interested in mental health or learning more about this, but I'm really recording this show for other people because I'm such a huge patient advocate, and I think it's really important to share your story if you can. Yesterday I did, and I'm going to get into that in a minute, and it was just so intense, and which is what triggered everything to happen to me last night. But if you too suffer from PTSD, I just want you to know that this episode is going to be really hard. I just want you to know that you're not alone, because this shit sucks. And I've been vocal about like everything about my life on the show and just my posts online and everything. And I know that this whole situation happened to me for a reason. And it's so that I can help other people. I just want to be able to like help people like not go through what I went through, which is why I'm creating a medical product to hopefully help that. I know it will help that. But, if you have PTSD, just know that you're not alone, because like where your mind goes is like not a happy place, and it can happen within seconds. And I just want you to know that you're not alone. So that's why you need to tune in, because this episode may trigger you, but it's going to be full of facts, and I'm just sharing my story in the hopes that it will help somebody else out there. And if you're listening and you don't suffer from PTSD, but you know somebody that does, I want you to listen, because I want you to know like how to help your friend. I have a very tight circle that knows every single thing about my legal case, every single thing about, when I was sick, like just everything, like a handful of friends. And I had to call every one of them, almost every one of them last night, because I was having a breakdown and it was awful. And I also want you to listen just to educate yourself because it's different for everybody. But I know that by sharing my story, it may help you or help you help a friend or a family member and kind of just maybe be aware of like other signs and symptoms. Like just know like when they're about to go down a rabbit hole, like a dark hole, which is what happened to me last night. So yesterday I shared in episode 254, which was all about being a multi-passionate, successful entrepreneur, which a lot of my experience in business has actually helped me with my legal cases and representing myself and sticking up for myself and organizing my records and literally everything from 2016. And so at the end of the show, I said that today's episode 255 would be about, why I was in Vegas and like what I did as soon as I got there and going to the office of the neurologist that misdiagnosed me and all of that. So if you're not familiar with my story, I'm not going to go into it now. I just invite you to listen to episode, what number is it? 243, where it's like an hour and a half long, but it shares my entire story of how I was sick, I was misdiagnosed, the entire legal battle, who I'm dealing with, what law firms, what doctors, what hospitals, literally everything. I mention it all. So that's episode 243. In episode 188, I've talked about PTSD and trauma before and my holistic approach and how I deal with having PTSD. And I just wanted to share those episodes with you first to kind of get more information on why I'm sharing this now, or my backstory rather. So if you don't know what PTSD is, I'm going to read it from the internet, from the Mayo Clinic website. I have my computer pulled up. So post-traumatic stress disorder is a mental health condition that's triggered by a terrifying event, either experiencing it or witnessing it. Symptoms may include flashbacks, nightmares, severe anxiety, as well as uncontrollable thoughts about the event. Most people go through traumatic events may have temporary difficulty adjusting and coping, but with time and good self-care, they usually get better, which, by the way, that's all I'm going to be doing after I record the show is self-care because I need it big time. If the symptoms get worse, last for months or even years, which I have, and interfere with your day-to-day functioning, you may have PTSD. Getting effective treatment for PTSD symptoms can be critical to reduce symptoms and improve function. I just want to share that I do meditations, I do sound baths, I do tapping, I do breath work, I do therapy, like all of them. So, I mean, I've tried it all, but when you have PTSD, okay, so let me just share one other thing, how you can get it. So, there's reasons that, there's a couple reasons I'll mention that can give you this disorder. So obviously, like I mentioned, like stressful or frightening event, any traumatic experience, you're probably familiar hearing about somebody in the military having PTSD or seeing it in movies, on television. I feel like that's really the most common. That's always what I knew of PTSD before I actually experienced it and realized like you can have it from, serious accidents, a car accident, physical or sexual assault, and then in the military. So, for example, if somebody was at war and the bombs went off and something, tragic, that's serious. And now they're back home and say they hear a loud bang, immediately their brain is going to go back to that place where that bomb went off. That's just what I've learned. And with my own personal experience, it's talking about situations or experiencing them again, that triggers me. So I want to talk about how I cope holistically, what happens when I'm going through it, which is nuts, and how you can help someone or just be aware of the facts. So just go to themayoclinic.org and learn more about it. There's also a lot of studies what happens to your brain when you're going through it or have experienced it, which I can't really look at because that is a trigger for me because I immediately still think I'm sick again and want to call my doctor to get a referral to get an MRI to make sure there's nothing in my brain that's like going to kill me, basically. So I started doing that last night. So okay, so now that you know what PTSD is, I want to share, I did a little bit of research, but then I started getting anxiety, and right now I'm sweating and shaking sharing this. So, and my voice is just shot from crying all night. So, that is the actual medical definition for you from Mayo Clinic. So now I have notes in front of me. Let me actually take these pages down because I can't even look at it, to be honest with you. Okay, so this is like so intense, but I knew I needed to record this. So what do I talk about first? Okay, so let's just talk about why this happened to me yesterday. So going back, I was in Vegas. I don't even know why I don't have a tissue. Yes, I do. I was in Vegas to celebrate Christmas finally with my best friend. And also, I needed to go into the neurologist's office that misdiagnosed me to hopefully get a face-to-face meeting with him. Unfortunately, I missed him, which I feel like was a good thing. Because I went over in my head, like, over 100 times how this conversation could go. I like literally, by now I'm like a huge manifestor and visualize everything. I visualize the conversation. I visualize myself walking in. But as soon as I got to Las Vegas, I went straight to his office and I walked in, and I didn't even think I'd be able to get in because of like the whole mask situation and social distancing. And I got in. I left the bills that he needs to take care of for my dental, and the letter that I sent him that he should have responded to by August for my MedMal case. So anyway, I went there, and it was a very surreal experience, which I touched on yesterday's episode, but it was literally like living a Lifetime movie. It was like I actually did die. And I thought I was going to die so many times. Like, I still think I'm going to die. It's the worst feeling, and it's because of this shit that happened to me. But I was like a floating angel, but like walking in real life, like into this doctor's office, going back in time, like getting like another referral for more chemo, or I don't know. It was just really, really weird. And in my mind, like, I don't stop until I get what I want. And so I want peace. Like, writing my book was the most healing experience ever. But it doesn't matter, because when you have PTSD, anything can trigger you, and it just comes back to haunt you. And it's going to, it takes years to recover, and you're just always going to have it, usually. It's just, you have to find your own coping mechanisms. A lot of people turn to alcohol and drugs and sex and food and just so many other things when they have this to like cope, to like get through it. So, going back to walking into his office, it was intense, and I had a legit panic attack. I was shaking and like sweating and freezing like I am right now sharing this with you, and I just like beelined it there, and it was weird because I felt like I was sick again. I was covered in hives. I lost my voice. I got vertigo like within minutes, and he wasn't there, so I dropped off paperwork and I left. I went into my patient portal. I did all these other things. Anyway, I've never voiced who he was or his practice or any of that until episode 243. Now, okay, let me just share like a little bit of the legal aspect. So I walked away. I was done with my case August 17th. I gave him till August 17th to respond. That was when I chose to walk away. I had worked on this legal case for 14 solid months. They decided to play dirty. Do I want to go to trial? I decided it was best for my own mental health to walk away. Since then, I wrote a book. I did a lot of things to heal. And I started working on my dental stuff. So the whole reason why this has come up for me again is because I'm working on my dental stuff. And by that, I mean my whole entire mouth has had to be redone twice. I need implants. I had surgeries. I have screws in my mouth. Just every single tooth has been redone twice now. On the 9th, I get my last 2 teeth, which honestly, like, they asked me when I was there last week, like, are you excited you're going to have your new teeth? And it, like, finally hit me, like, oh my God, like, I'm actually going to be able to smile for the first time since, like, 2016 or 2017. Like, I strategically placed my camera in a way that, like, when I smile in my photos on the internet, you can't tell that my teeth are fucked up because of the chemo and the drugs. So this is all proven. My doctor has written notes. Like, I've had to redo my entire mouth because I think I was on 12 or 13 prescription medications, IV steroids, blood transfusions, 8 rounds of chemo, when if I actually did have the disease, it should have only been 2. So I was overdosed, and all of that destroys your mouth. So here we are. I'm busting my ass trying to cover this, right? Like, literally busting my ass. My dental payments now are $600 a month, and it's getting to be ridiculous. And that's another trigger for me. So when I started this dental, I just like put my head down and got to work. Just like everything I talk about on my show, post online, or have written in my book. Like you have to make a list. You have to like take the steps and just put in the work and get it done. So that's what I did. I busted my ass to pay for this. And now it just keeps increasing because I have so many problems with my mouth because of being on chemo, being misdiagnosed, and put on all of these drugs. So this is why it's come up again for me and why you haven't heard it on the show. Like that episode, after 243, like I'm done. Here's the story because everybody's asked. I don't have a gag order. I did not get a settlement. I have not received 1 penny. And when I say that I won because I saved my own life and I was able to walk away. Unfortunately, not compensated. But now after August 17th, like I drove all the way to Los Angeles to go to an in-person sound bath to like really heal and like start my new chapter of my life. It was Monday, August 17th. I believe it was a Monday. And I moved on. But since then, I've been dealing with this dentist, and I've been going like I'm there probably 3 or 4 times a month. I had crazy surgeries. Surgeries is one of my triggers. Anesthesia is one of my triggers. Like all these things, I immediately go back to, I'm dying. Where's my will? Where are my friends? Who's going to get my stuff? Like this is just how your brain works when you have PTSD. So that's a little recap. That's why this has come up again. So that's the backstory. So now I just want to share more of my triggers and what actually happens other than, when I walked into his office in Vegas, or I talk about it. Like right now, my hands are ice cold. I'm shaking, but like sweating at the same time. Anytime I get triggered or I'm like in the moment, I'm immediately covered in hives. I pretty much lose my voice. I'm crying hysterically. I'm screaming. I'm like bright red, basically on the verge of like a heart attack, it feels like, because I'm having a panic attack. My anxiety is through the roof. My vertigo will come in my left ear. I feel like I'm having an ulcer. I have TMJ, like I glue my teeth shut, it feels like. And I'm doing it during the day, I realize now, and I haven't ever done that. And I don't realize until I start talking, I'm like, oh my God, I'm like grinding my teeth. And then my jaw is killing me because of that. Those are some of the things that happen to me when I'm in the moment, when I'm going through this trauma. So it's intense. So yesterday, I did not plan on posting his name or anything on the internet. I had no plans doing that. That was not something I've ever done. I have not written reviews for him on the internet. I have not done anything like that because the first thing I did was learn the legal system and I taught myself how to represent myself in 6 medical malpractice cases. I went straight through legal. I didn't go to the internet, which I'm like, now, why didn't I just do that in the beginning? Which it's like you black out sometimes and you forget a lot, which is, again, why I write everything down, because my memory is shot. So I didn't have plans on talking about him and posting all of the reviews. But after recording yesterday's show, I was talking to a friend, and then I was just sitting in my room and I just started getting angry, like so angry again. And I haven't felt like that in a long time, like the depth of anger, like so mad. So I immediately went to his website, lvneuro.com, and they ask for reviews. So if you're going to ask me for a review, it's my job as a patient to give you it. So that's what I did on every single website that they have there. So I went to the Better Business Bureau, I went to Yelp, I went to Facebook, I went to Google. I also went to LinkedIn, my Facebook stories, my Instagram stories, some other health websites where you review the doctors, and I shared my story. I also shared that I'm patiently waiting for his attorneys, John H. Cotton Law Firm in Las Vegas, to call me, because what they did to me was wrong. What they did to me was illegal, and I want them to do what's right. There's a reason why if you get into a car accident, you have car insurance to cover each other, right? Same thing with medical malpractice insurance and doctors. If you make a mistake, you have to make it right. And I brought this story up, it was June or July. No, I feel like it was the end of June, July, where Dr. Janda called me. Dr. Paul Janda is the neurologist that misdiagnosed me, that I blasted him all over the internet yesterday. And that's something I never wanted to do. He called me. I was actually looking at an apartment, and he called me, and the number was blocked. And it sounded like it was like a telemarketer calling me from like a country far away, because I could barely hear him. And he's like, sorry, I'm walking out of the hospital. It's so windy. Do you have a minute to talk? I just got your demand letter. And he said, I have a family. I have small children. You know, I don't have this kind of money. And I'm like, do you think I'm an idiot? Like, I'm a smart person. Like, it doesn't come out of your personal account, you know? And he's like, please don't do this. And then he said, please come back to Las Vegas. I'll see you again. Like, let's like do that. And I'm like, no. And he's like, can you call me back in 2 days? Like, let's think of a number we can agree on. And I said, no, why am I calling you? Like, I just sent you a demand letter. Now I can deal with your attorneys. Like, you shouldn't even be calling me. This man is also an attorney. Like, he knows the laws. Like, let's not be dumb here. Like, these are facts. So that's that. So anyway, I posted his name. I wrote my reviews. That's something that was never intended for me to do. But if you're going to play dirty, so am I. And I'm just asking for what I deserve. And that's for my dental bills to be paid for. I'm not asking for $1 million. I'm not asking to drag this through the press, although that could be an option, because multiple outlets have already asked, and I don't want to do that because I have PTSD. And when I do this and continuously share my story, like, that to me is a huge trigger. And immediately, like, I'm getting upset right now, like, immediately all these things will happen. And I've had people interviewing me on podcasts, and thank God it wasn't filmed, because I have gotten vertigo while I'm talking and just like start speaking like slowly. And I've kind of come out of it, but one of them I've had to cut short, and I'd like just stop them. And I'm like, I'll even produce your show for you if like you don't have producers that know how to cut this out. See, I can't even talk. It's like now I have a stuttering problem, which I've never had my whole entire life. And I feel like it's just like all the stress and this shit like just coming up again. So, what was I saying? I have so many notes in front of me because I really just want to like share with you guys like what it is that I'm going through, so that you can help yourself or help somebody else that like you know is going through something like this, and just hear what it's really like, because it sucks. And you could do as many holistic approaches and take medication for this, but it's just always going to linger. It's just always going to linger. I don't know anybody that has PTSD that they're completely recovered. And it's unfortunate, because it's just a really difficult thing to go through. So let's just do a recap. So I blasted his name all over the internet yesterday. I wrote reviews. You asked for them on your website. I left them. Let's not play games. I'm asking you to do what's right. I'm trying to be as professional as I can. That's it. Like, that's all I'm asking. And I'm just voicing my frustration and my opinion. I try so hard not to, like, bring the emotion into it. I mean, I was pretty clear when I went through my med-mal cases that, like, I didn't bring emotion into it. I had other attorneys, like, looking at my stuff to make sure, like, I didn't bring emotion into it. But it's really, really hard when it's your life, and you're representing yourself. That is fucking hard. But those are just some of the things that happen to me when I'm going through, like, this trauma experience. So that all happened to me last night. I was shaking, I was sweating, my vertigo came back, I felt like my ulcer was back, covered in hives. I had a couple of beers. I didn't get drunk or anything, I just, like, needed a beer just to, like, relax. I had, like, a delicious dinner, I had a salad, but, like, as soon as I got home, I started going through my photos, like, old photos, like, when I was sick. And then I immediately think I'm sick again. Like, why am I torturing myself? Like, why am I doing this? And then I called one of my friends, and she's like, why are you doing this to yourself? Like, why are you doing this again? And I was like, it's not fair. And I deserve to be compensated for what was done to me. And at the least, just pay my dental bills, because every month I have to make this massive payment of $600. I get fired up, and that is a trigger. So for the next 2 years, I'm going to feel like this every month on the 15th. And that is not okay with me. I don't deserve this feeling. I deserve to move on and be healed as much as possible. And trust me, like, therapy and all of that, I'm doing it. But when you have a trigger, this is what happens. And last night was not a good night. And I just woke up this morning and I have, like, an emotional hangover. My head is throbbing. My face is so swollen from crying. I have, like, the worst headache. My anxiety immediately when I woke up, I could barely, like, open my jaw this morning because it's, like, locked shut from TMJ, from the stress. And I just knew that I had to record an episode like this to share exactly what it's like, what I'm going through. Because if you're listening, if you still are and you're going through it, like, you're not going to be alone. You need to find a circle that is tight, so tight, and that you trust them 100% with your life, literally with your life. Because there's times where I wanted to end mine, and I've always said that, like, I worded it very specifically in my book because I wanted my book to be a happy book. But there's some chapters where I talk about, like, I didn't want to move on with my life because I didn't want to. It was times where I couldn't visualize being at the beach again. It was times where I'm hooked up to other machines because my body couldn't handle the chemo, and I was just, like, fighting to hold on. And, like, last night I just started thinking about that again. Not ending my life, but, like, the times I wanted to end my life. And having those thoughts are not okay with me. I don't want to have them anymore. And the only reason why I'm having them is because of these posts I had to do yesterday, because they haven't made things right. And it's just not fair. And I know that life isn't fair. I know that other people are going through these, like, traumatic experiences. Everybody is. Like, I understand. And I'm just sharing mine. This is mine. And it's not okay because there's so many other patients out there that don't know that they can do what I just did. And the only reason why I'm bringing this up again is because I'm going through the dental, and it was a huge trigger. And just, like, making these payments and having them call me and all this stuff is, like, absolute living hell and torture. And every month I'm going to have to go through this. When I keep going to the dentist, when I keep paying that huge bill, I honestly can't even afford. I'm busting my ass just to pay, like, a dental bill for my mouth that's been redone twice. That was never my fault. This is not my fault. And I need him to make things right because I'm doing this for myself and also for all of you that are out there that think that you can't do what I did. Don't, just take my advice and like make a list first before you do things, because that's what I did with my legal case, and like do it legally, which every single thing I've mentioned and I've done was 100% by the books. I had to become my own attorney. I'm not stupid. I learned the system. Like, I know what's right, and what's right is for me to be compensated, because I can't continue to live my life feeling like this because of a mistake that was made. Just fess up. Just pay the fucking bill, because that's why you have insurance, you know? Like, I didn't want to have to put his name all over the internet yesterday, but that's something that I chose to do because they're playing dirty, and now I got to play dirty. And it's annoying, and I just simply don't have time for it. I like to be like, you know, my happy, normal self, like happy, healthy, positive, and productive. I've preached this on this show for 4 years, but this is just one of those, like, extremely raw moments that I'm sharing with you, because I need you to know that this is not okay. And if you or somebody that you know is going through PTSD and has this like experience with trauma and triggers, any little trigger, this is like what you go through. It's so intense. And obviously everybody's trauma is different, and everybody's like experience with PTSD is different, but this is mine. And I feel like by just sharing this like really honest, like obviously very emotional and raw moment with you, that you understand like what it's like, and that you're of course not alone if you're going through it. You have me. You can always text me on my cell phone at any time. It's always in the show notes. But if you know somebody that has PTSD, I need you to understand, like, you just need to be there for them. And that's it. Like, how do you be there for them? You just, like, listen to them and just support them and just, like, understand, like, it's so traumatic for the person in their brain and how they can move on with their day. Like, my day is shot already. Like, I don't have calls, thank God. I just have a couple projects for clients I'm going to do, but the rest of my day, like right now I have my iced coffee in front of me. I'm going to have my delicious soothing meals I made earlier this week, and I'm honestly just going to relax. I need to get the fuck outside and get some fresh air. It's super gloomy, and the marine layer is like literally floating outside of my window right now, but the sun will be out soon, hopefully, but even if I just get fresh air and just go out in nature, like, I just feel like I'm going to be crying the entire day, and it's so crazy because, like, I'm always such an emotional person and cry, but when I have, like, a PTSD moment, it's, like, uncontrollable. Like, you should see the size of my eyeballs, you know, they're like golf balls, but, they got, you know what, I need to turn my skincare fridge back on, because I'm going to need that jade roller and ice roller, like, direct to the face, to the eyeball situation today, because they are so fucking swollen. Thank God for sunglasses. But, oh my God, I'm so stuffed up right now. So, I just needed to record this episode to get out how I feel, to get out, like, how you could help others, and to get out, like, you're not alone if you have PTSD, and the triggers are the worst. It can be, like, the tiniest thing. It can be, like, if somebody says a word to me, like, malpractice or misdiagnosis or attorney, or, like, literally just, like, words, or I see something about a legal case, or last night I commented on somebody's post. It was like, tell us your 1 in a million story. And ironic, how weird is that? I shared it, and everybody's talking about, oh my God, it sounds like this Dr. Death podcast. And my roommate actually was telling me about that months ago, but then she's like, you actually can't listen to it because it's going to trigger you. I don't want it to trigger you, because she knows. And I was like, well, just let me know if there's like one episode. And then she's like, no, like, just don't listen to it. So I've never listened to it, but so many people were commenting on my response, like, it sounds like that. And so, I mean, I guess it does. Like, I honestly forget, like, the whole Dr. Death situation, because, like, I don't want to know it, because it's a trigger for me. So yesterday was just, like, a shit ton of triggers, because I went online and had to call out this doctor just to make things right. And that just took a turn for the worst. And I was with my friend, and I was helping her, like, if you really want to know, redesign her cricket room. So in between, I kept checking my phone to see if he was looking, or to see, if his attorneys had sent me an email or like anything. And so my head was always there, like I wasn't fully in the Cricut design remodel situation. I was like, let's just make this right. Like, please respond. So I'm just going to have to continue to share it until I get a response, because that's what you need to do to make things right. And that's it. So, that is everything that I wanted to share up until yesterday. And then, something else that's like a huge trigger is getting anesthesia, anything with needles. I had a port for like 2 years, maybe more. And, that's so that you can get access. I was able to get my chemo quickly because my veins were awful. And I had 15 IVs in like a few days when I was in the hospital. Well, I was in the hospital for like 9 days. This is actually when I met Dr. Janda. And I had a PICC line for like a 2.5-hour procedure for a PICC line that didn't even work out because my body was so full of steroids it like wouldn't come through. So that's why I had a port. But if you need anything for an IV for any reason, I would definitely say get a port. I hated that I had a metal device in my body, but when the time came and you needed chemo or you needed oxygen or IVs or morphine or anything, like an emergency situation, they can get it into you a lot quicker. And those IVs and needles are so intense. But when I get anesthesia at the dentist, that immediately makes me think that I'm sick again. I see the needles and I think about when I was at LabCorp in Vegas getting like 37 vials of blood drawn at a time and like wanting a burger and then like basically passing out after the fact. Or like going to get chemo and it wasn't working out, or going to get a certain drug, an IV drip, an emergency situation with my nerves, my brain, like all these things that were happening from the drugs, not actually ever being sick. Like that's immediately where my brain goes every time I sit in that dental chair. And granted, a lot of people have issues with the dentist, period. I never really did. So I just like go in there and get my work done and leave. But now it's the physical dental itself, like the implants, that was a bit torturous. The surgery, a bit torturous. It's now like the needles and just like physically going there. And thank God they are so amazing. But every time I go there, every time I see a bill, every time they call me, it's a reminder and it's a big trigger. And I feel like shit every time I hang up that call or I leave. I immediately am covered in hives. I can't drive because I feel like I'm having vertigo, or I get vertigo. I immediately call one of my friends that's in my tight circle that knows every single thing about this entire legal situation, as well as being sick, that was there with me. And I can't function. I'm so upset. And it's just a massive trigger. And I don't know if I can deal with that every month for the next 2 years, because after yesterday, it was just so intense. And, what I do to like what I mentioned earlier, like the holistic approaches, I already had an intense month. And then with the dental on top, made it like even worse. I get CBD oil. It's a 4-to-1 ratio with THC because the THC is what helps the panic. So I don't have a panic attack. And the dispensaries here in California have taught me so much about CBD and THC and like the measurements and all of that. And there's one specific brand. It's called Select CBD. And it's really hard to find, but I've been using this for over a year. So if I mess up the milligrams and switch to a different brand, you're going to feel different. It's like a prescription medication, really. Like, is it going to work if I change it to the generic or a new one on the market? Like, your body's going to react a different way. So if I get a different bottle that's double the strength, take half, it's still a different concoction. So I don't want to change. And this has been really hard to find lately by bottle. And last month, unfortunately, I was out for a couple days. I was like, it was awful. Like, and you could have like a CBD gummy. You can have like, there's other things. You can smoke marijuana. I don't do any of that. I just have CBD, and I only have a half a dropper every day. Well, that usually lasts me like 2 to 3 months, like max. I'm out in 1 month. So that means I was taking 1 to 1.5 droppers every day because of my anxiety at the dentist. So, and CBD is not cheap. I pay about $90 every month just for one tiny, tiny little bottle. But I've taken the holistic approach. You know, I do my sound baths, I do my breath work, I do my meditation. Right now I have incense. I put on incense. It's a relaxation one. So it's kind of working. I have candles. I have like oil sprays. Like I do every single thing. I do self-care. Like I know when it's time to stop, halt, like take a breather and get the fuck outside. But like that's not enough sometimes because I can be outside and see something on my phone and it's a trigger and I'll like literally start hyperventilating. That hasn't happened in a while, but I got vertigo on my walk once because I was thinking about it and I can't get it out of my brain. And there's a lot of studies that show like the effects that PTSD has on your brain. And I think I mentioned this on that episode 188. I feel like it was Demi Lovato posted her brain, her and Miley Cyrus. And it shows the brain when you have PTSD, how different it looks compared to a normal one. Like, I really want to get that done because, or maybe not, but I definitely feel that happening, like something happening when I have an intense experience from having PTSD as I did last night. Like my head is throbbing right now. Also, like if you just go on the Mayo Clinic or just Google like the studies about having PTSD and the relation to the brain, it's a trigger for me. So I started looking because I wanted to share that with you guys, but just go to Google and read them yourself because I couldn't do it. Because now all I want to do is call the doctor and get an MRI to see if I'm going to die because something happened to my brain because I now have PTSD. That's where I go with my thoughts. So what else did I want to share with you guys? I really think that's it. It was just an intense day. Let's just say that. Today I'm recovering. You know, you have those like emotionally charged hangovers. Like if you broke up with someone or you're having family drama or you're sick or like whatever, you go through something the next day, you're like hungover. That's how I feel. And so I'm just going to give myself like enough grace and self-care because I fucking need it. And just hope that this, I mean, I know that people get misdiagnosed every day. But just know if your story is like any kind in any way, shape, or form similar to mine, or I mean, really anything, that you have a voice. And if you feel like you don't and you feel trapped, because a lot of people like are mute and like don't speak up, they're afraid. There's a way to get around that. It's called journaling. You need to write it down and get your thoughts on paper. That has saved my life. I'm not kidding. Saved my life. That and music and my tight circle of friends. Because it's the worst feeling. It is the absolute worst feeling. Thinking about dying. Like, that's where it goes. Like, that's usually like you go back to the experience that gave you this trauma, and that's what I thought was happening. I was dying and I fought for my life, and now it's like if I had died, there would have been a legal case in court that went to trial. But because I saved my own life, it's not. I mean, it still can, but like it's worse because I'm alive. Does that make any sense? It's absolutely so wrong. Because if you've been listening to this show for a long time, the reason why I had to represent myself, or if you haven't, like the reason why I had to represent myself in 6 medical malpractice cases is because when you represent yourself, you have to include all parties. You have to serve them. You have to write them demand letters, all 6 parties. So the 6 parties were radiology, the neurologist, the hospital, the chemo center, and 3 other doctors, 2 or 3, I don't even know. There were 6 parties involved. And why was I just telling you this? Oh my God, my brain is fried. Why was I just telling you this? Legal system, going to court. Oh, when the reason why I was representing myself is because I had over 100 attorneys, almost 150 attorneys that I've spoken to on the phone saying, we don't want to take your case. The reasons being, 1, I'm alive, 2, I'm not missing a limb, and 3, I'm not hooked up to a breathing apparatus machine. Nobody will take your case if there's a cap on how much they can make. So an attorney is not going to work and bust their ass like I did for 14 solid months straight, being my own attorney, on something that they can't make a shit ton of money on. Or if they believe in the case, they don't think they can win. I was self-employed. That was annoying to them. I'm alive. They're like, that's a crazy story. Yeah, we're all set. Like, everyone said that. Attorneys literally use the words like, you're not dead, you're not missing a limb, you're not hooked up to a breathing machine. So I had to figure it out myself, and that's why I did, and I learned everything I needed to learn, and I did it exactly the way that any medical malpractice attorney would do. I've had the top litigators in the country calling me on my cell phone asking me how I did what I did so fast, because usually a medical malpractice case takes years, which is why nobody does it, which is why nobody would do what I did. I sent my demand letters out on my birthday, June 10th. First of all, I found out the day I was misdiagnosed in writing, January 23rd, 2019. I sent out my demand letters to all parties involved, June 10th, 2019, my birthday. It took me that long to put together 6 cases. So basically a case a month, not even. I did it in a shorter period of time. From June 10th, 2019 until August 17th, 2020, 14 solid months, I dealt with 6 investigators on the State Board of Medical Examiners side, 6 investigators on the medical malpractice insurance side for the 6 parties involved. I dealt with all of their attorneys. I dealt with all of their paralegals. I dealt with the medical records department that houses all the records for every hospital in the United States of America. I dealt with so many people, multiplied times 6. I mean, things like that I can like run off, not even looking at a list, because it's just multiplied times 6. But now is the time that I need to make things right. And unfortunately, I mean, I always say everything happens for a reason, and maybe I'm going through this dental to trigger me because I don't know, I can handle it. And although I feel like right now it's just like too much, but I know deep down, like, I can handle anything. I'm fucking fearless. Like, the fact that I like went back in time and like went into his office, like, I'm so proud of myself I did that, because I don't know anybody that could do that and like literally not get arrested because of like the thoughts that go through their mind. It's just so emotional. I needed to do it for myself, I thought, to heal. But now it's just part of what's going on again with if I go to trial, and if I decide to do that, or if this Dr. Janda decides to make a choice and do what's right, which hopefully he will very, very soon, because this is just going to continue on, and it's annoying, and I hate dealing with it, and I hate feeling like this. I hate recording shows like this, because it's just like a lot, and I don't even know why you're still listening, because I'm like a hot mess, but I know that this is happening for a reason, and I have this platform for a reason. And if I can't share my story and help other people, like, I don't know why else this is happening to me, because I'm strong enough that I survived it. So I'm strong enough. I should be strong enough to continue to share it. But I thought we were at a place where I didn't have to share this anymore. But it's the dental stuff. Like, I can't deal with this every month, dealing with dental for the next 2 years. And that's just what happened because of my situation being misdiagnosed. So that's it. That's the story. That's what it's like literally living with PTSD, like my triggers, what happens when I have it. My stomach is like literally throbbing right now. Like, I feel like I have an ulcer. Which, by the way, if you have any like gastro issues, Manuka honey is really good for that. My therapist actually told me that, and you take it on an empty stomach and it's like a dream. Like, it will immediately go away. So I'm about to do that now, because I'm like kind of hurled over at the moment because I'm upset again, and I'm stuffy, and I'm so sorry like that you're even listening to this, but I just want you to know that if you're still here, that I'm one, a strong, strong bitch. I'm fearless, and I'm going to, it's like I'm looking in the mirror, I'm like telling myself this, like a friendly little reminder, bitch, you can get anything done. But I know it's happening for a reason, and it's to share my story so that I can help more people going through something like this. You're not alone. You at least have me. And there are ways that you can cope with things. Obviously, I'm not a medical professional. I'm just a professional patient. This is my story, and thank you for listening. And I'm going to be okay. I just needed to get this out so that I could share what it's like when you're triggered and actually going through it like I am right now. I don't think I've ever recorded an episode when I'm literally going through it. Oh my God, my stomach's killing me right now. But I don't know, I just wrote 3 pages of notes out and just felt in my heart and in my gut that I had to record this show after doing what I did yesterday. And maybe they'll hear what's on the show and make things right, because that's all that I'm asking. I'll take down every post I put. I don't have a problem with that. I just need you to do what's right and just at least at the minimum pay my dental bill so I can move on with my life, because I thought I did that in August, and unfortunately that's not the case, and now I'm back to a place that I didn't want to be at. So luckily I can still cope in a semi kind of way, and move on with things, but it makes it a lot harder when I'm dealing with PTSD and experiencing the trauma over and over again. It's just not a happy feeling. But if you need help, if you're feeling like I am, seek out to a therapist like I have, and get medical attention if you need it. Always see a doctor that you know and trust, and get multiple opinions. I can tell you that is the number one most important thing. After I misdiagnosed, I had 6 other medical experts confirm the misdiagnosis. So, and I did that in the beginning as well. That's my professional patient medical advice to you, because you always need other opinions. You always need to trust the doctor. You always need to do what's in your gut, what's right, and just go with it. And that's what I'm doing today by recording this episode. So if you're still here, thank you so much for listening. It really means a lot. Oh God, yesterday was just intense, and today it's just kind of reliving it and just relaxing, reliving, relaxing, and regrouping. Those are my words for the day. That's it. So thank you guys so much for listening. I tried so hard to not get emotional, but we all know how I am at this point. Let's be honest. I tried my best, but I'm just living my truth, and this is just trying to make this doctor do what's right. Because it's just not fair. And I'm not the only one. That's the whole point. It's not just me. So that's that. Next week, I would like to bring my show back to the business aspect. If you haven't listened to yesterday's show, episode 254, it's all about how you can become a multi-passionate, successful entrepreneur. And I'm telling you, this legal case is actually... my business has actually helped me, be so organized, and the fact that I was able to even put 6 cases together so quickly and get through them all, in less than 2 years. But yeah, episode 188, just again, as a friendly reminder, is more on PTSD and trauma, and more on the holistic approach. I talk a lot more about the things that I do. My CBD oil, my sound mask, more about that. Definitely not as traumatic as today's episode. And then if you want the whole complete story about literally from day one, how I had MS, then I had NMO, then I had the chemo and the overdose and the drugs, the legal, I'm sharing it all. It's a good solid 90 minutes, I think. That's episode 243. So if you're listening, if you are Dr. Janda, if you are his attorney at John H. Cotton, I invite you to send me an email, because we just need to move on with us. It's time. If you're a patient, know that you, again, are never alone. I said this like more than 10 times today because I need to say it out loud and make sure that you know that you're not. And always seek medical attention when you need it. Try the holistic approach as much as possible. If you ever need anything from me, I'm here. You can text me. My cell is in the show notes. I do that specifically for reasons like this. And business tips, which I would like to again return to. And then if you are somebody that you know somebody's suffering, I hope this episode kind of opened your eyes to the dark hole that somebody can go down when they just hear one word or one noise or see something that triggers them, how traumatic and an emotional mess that they are, even if they don't show it in their mind and in their thoughts. Like, and this is just my own experience, but just as an overall approach and experience, like, this is what happens. Whew, that's it. I got through it. Thank you for listening. You have no idea if you listen to this episode. I'm so sorry. I'm like snotty and crying, and thank God you don't have to look at me because I look like hell. I really do appreciate it. Reach out to me if you have any other questions. That's all I have today. I feel good about what I just shared. Hopefully it will help someone. And I just really felt so passionate about recording this episode on how post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, really affects a person's life. It's intense. It's not any kind of fun. So I'm signing off. I'm going to go take the hottest shower I've ever taken in my life with all the oils, drink my iced coffee, eat my delicious soothing meals, and just relax because that's what my body needs. It's going through a crazy, traumatic, shocking experience all over again. And what I need is rest. And a hummingbird is literally staring right at me. So you think that's a sign? Oh my God. Anyway, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for listening to this crazy episode, but it had to be recorded. So thanks again, you guys. I love you so much. If you want to leave a review, let me know what you thought about this episode. Please do so. Or you can reach out to me anywhere online, and I'm here for you. Have a great day. Your time is so valuable, and I really appreciate you carving out a little piece of your day to listen to today's episode. If you liked this one, please share it with someone who you feel needs to hear this message. And don't forget to tag me at The Happy Workaholic on Facebook and Instagram so I can feature you on my stories. Listening on Apple Podcasts, I would love it if you would leave me a review on today's show. Your input means so much and also helps me create more of the content you'll love. Want to continue today's conversation? You can join us in the Happy Workaholic Network Facebook group. Simply answer the questions and you're in. For more information on myself and to get the latest in business, LinkedIn, organizing, and podcasting news, sign up to receive my weekly newsletter at thehappyworkaholic.com. I hope that your day continues to be happy, healthy, positive, and productive, and I'll talk to you again soon.